Shabbat Shalom. I was talking to a colleague of mine who's retired now this week. Not so much talking, I guess. We were more lamenting, just over the news. Just the news. It was one of those conversations that's like, did you hear about this? Oh my God, yeah, I did. Did you hear about that? Oh, it's terrible. I didn't even know. Did you see this thing? I didn't see that. Oh my God, that's awful. It's like every headline was worse than the one before. A ping pong match of despair. And, God, always turn your phone off. And thinking of this very moment when I knew I'd be standing here in front of all of you, I said to him, aren't you glad you don't have to give sermons anymore? And he gave me this look like, it's tough. It's tough seeing headlines seemingly everywhere, coming out of Texas, in America, Israel, world news. It just seems like it's endless. Like the bad news just keeps coming. Another anti-Semitic hate crime over here, an attack on people's rights there, a shooting there, and there, and there. It can be hard sometimes, and I feel like especially now, to think that things will be different, that they can be different, and that they're not just getting worse. It's hard for me. You know, I think about getting up here after an especially bad day or week or month of headlines, and the thought crosses my mind, what the heck do I say to the people? I often joke that when it comes to Beth Yeshurun rabbis, that I am the storm cloud to Rabbi Strauss's sunshine. As, clapping. Okay. As I have told y'all before, I am not by nature an optimist. I'm not a pessimist, but you know, when you look around and things look terrible, it seems realistic to say so. But I really think that with the holiday of Passover coming up, it is a really good time to reevaluate that whole perspective, maybe especially now. On Passover, we are literally reenacting during our Seder the Israelites' journey from slavery in Egypt to freedom. Now, the word Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim. Now, that's the literal word for the country Egypt in the Torah and now. The Zohar, though, spins that, as it often does, a little differently. Now, the Zohar is a very classic text of Jewish mysticism. They believe, the people who wrote it and those who really hold on to the words, they believe that every word in the Torah has layers, and that there are windows into godliness in every letter, if only you look for it. Now, according to the Zohar, the name Mitzrayim is derived from Mitzarim. Mi, meaning from, and tsar, meaning narrow. So Mitzrayim, the mystics say, means not just Egypt, like the country, but narrowness. The people of Israel were freed from a place of Mitzrayim. And on Pesach, we celebrate freedom from that which constricts us, those places of narrowness and darkness that we find ourselves in sometimes, like now. It's an important yearly reminder that we may not be enslaved literally, but that we may all at times be surrounded by darkness that grows heavy like a plague, that there is always, always an end to it. It may take time. The children of Israel were enslaved for 400 years, but it's not forever. And if we do, like they did, work hard, keep marching, we will go forth out of the narrow places that we find ourselves in. The story of the children of Israel is a cautionary tale, too. Joe Buchanan, the Jewish cowboy who did a Go Texans Shabbat, you might have heard him, he has his own Michamocha. It's really pretty. He calls it Walking in the Light of God. Before he sings it, he tells the story of the song, Michamocha, that was sung by the children of Israel when they crossed the Red Sea. Now, when they crossed, he says, some of them were looking down at their feet, going, ugh, look at all this mud, ugh, and the guy in front of me is walking so slow, and the woman behind me keeps bumping me, and someone's kid keeps crying, and they're filled with misery. They were walking to freedom, miserable. And some of them were walking and looking up, and they saw the light, thinking, wow, this water is parted for us. We are going to freedom finally, thank God. And they were filled with joy. We can all walk through the same waters, this teaches us, and have completely different experiences. And that can affect how it feels to tread as we must through this life. It can be fair to look around and go, wow, this is gross and awful. Because it might be sometimes. I'm sure it was muddy as heck walking through all the sea. But to only look down and only see the muck and the mire is a sure way to get sucked into it. And it can be hard to pry yourself out of that narrow place. I'm not an optimist, no, but Pesach is a really good reminder to look up from the muck, up to the light, and to see buried among the headlines of destruction, there are good ones in there too. I look up, and I do see it. There are good people in this world. There are good things that are happening right now, even right now. And when we look up and we see that light, we see that while things may be tough now around the country, around the world, they will not always be so. And that the light that we see can spark hope. Sometimes we need a reminder of that too. On my computer monitor in my office, I have a lot of sticky notes. It's covered in sticky notes. Usually it's program ideas I don't want to forget, sometimes phone numbers. I put them up there, and they stay for a while, and eventually I take them down. But there's one that's been up there since I learned it. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's from the book of Proverbs, actually. Tochelet mimishucha machala lev. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. We, human beings, cannot live in negativity. We cannot survive thinking that things will not be better. According to Mishle, Proverbs, it makes us heartsick to do that. We must always have hope that there is better to come, no matter how narrow and dark it seems at times. There is light now, and there will be much more in the future. My colleague, who I told you about when we were talking about how tough things seem to be, and I said how great it is for you, you don't have to give sermons anymore. I don't even know what to say to people. And he said, Sarah, you have to give them a little chizuk, a little bit of strength, a little bit of hope, so they can go on. That's what they need to do. You don't need answers, Sarah, he said. You need to help them to keep going. On Passover, we are reminded that if we do as the children of Israel did, if we toil together, if we march together, we will find freedom from the confines and the strictures and the narrowness placed upon us. As Passover approaches, may we all find renewed strength as we look up and appreciate the light and fight against the darkness. I wish you all an early happy Passover and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Ford. I'm glad some of my sunshine is rubbing off on you. A beautiful job, and thank you for a very important message as we approach the holiday.